The Sarando Fox Labor Day March and Rally taking participants through the southern communities on Grand Bahama. And we now know the identity of the couple who perished in that house fire on Wednesday.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Megan Shepard. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is Labor Day here in the Bahamas, a day set aside to celebrate workers. Today, affiliates of the two umbrella unions came together to recognize the invaluable contributions of workers everywhere. This year, the annual march in honor of the father of labor, Sarando Fox, took participants on a road march into the Southern District. We have team coverage tonight, and we begin with Italia Hall.
A large group of workers from the various unions marched together in solidarity. The laborers assembled at the entrance of the Freeport harbor. They then moved into the Pinders Point community. Jerome Mizik and Eugene Ferguson say Labor Day is all about workers coming together as one.
It's important for me to be on this Labor Day parade because about history, what Sarando Fox them did for us. They stood up for the average Bahamian, and because of them, the state of labor now is better. And I feel that the state of labor in the country will continue to get better as long as we, the Bahamian people, stand and stick together.
I've been a worker at BTC for the past 28 years until I retired last year. And I really appreciate what the BCPOU did for the workers at BTC and for this country. And I just think it's a good thing to show a united front and come on the march today.
Celestine Russell, Sarah and Darren Cooper say they would like to see more workers unite.
I feel the state of it now. They need to be more together, more on one accord, and to make a difference in the lives of people.
I think it's deplorable and we need great improvement in that area.
A lot of workers are very low. The concerns of workers in all areas are very high. And then you have, as it relates to civil servants, you have good civil servants that go beyond the call of duty. And then you have those that makes it very difficult. But the morale is very low. And I'm here today to support all of those laborers who stand in the front line, continue to make it happen for Grand Bahama.
This group says that Labor Day is an occasion that many should support due to the contributions made by Sarando Fox. And when asked what they thought the father of labor would say about the current state of labor in the country,
I think he would feel good because we have a lot of young people on this walk today, as you can see. So I feel like he would be very proud.
I think he would say, labor, unite or perish. You must come together or we will all die. The laborers in this country are the majority. So it doesn't matter what side of your fence you're on, what political side you're on. What you need to do is focus on labor, what you need to see happen in this country, and unite and stand and go get it.
He wouldn't be pleased with us at all. Even if Penham is here, he wouldn't be pleased. Okay, even our members of parliament today should not be pleased.
But Deborah Butterfield says for her, the Labor Day parade was very disappointing. She claims that some made it political. She says it's totally wrong and disrespectful because Labor Day is not about politics.
This should not be for bashing the government. It's supposed to be for the workers of the Bahamas, okay, being united, okay, finding ways to move forward. All right, the government of Bahamas is doing, in my opinion, they're doing an excellent job, especially concentrating on the young people. That is where we're going. We're going forward, we're moving forward. We're supposed to be moving forward, upward together.
Now the Labor Day parade ended here in Hunters at the YMCA Center, where persons were able to hear from a number of union leaders. Our Shoshana Roll-Farquharson picks up that story.
Thank you so much, Italia. Well, those attending the Labor Day March assembled here at the YMCA. Union leaders took to the podium and shared some of their concerns and challenges and what they expect for the way forward.
I will continue to put wood on the fire to heat your seat. Get this done. We cannot have our children unable to buy a piece of land, unable to even put that money down on a house.
We need to stand united and let the government know that, hey, you said that it's the people's time. It's time for you to show us that it is the people's time. Too many of us unions have too many conflicts that are unresolved with our employers, And for the government to be a major employer in this country and to have contract and temporary workers, that is wrong.
We are working without basic resources, outdated and ill-functioning equipment, and lack of transportation in many areas. And yet, we are expected to perform at exceptional levels.
And so we want the Minister of Education to start to articulate a vision for education beyond preschool. And that is from the heart of teachers. That's what I hear every day. We appreciate the preschool, we understand the investment, but we need something, policy beyond preschool.
Don't forget the nurses. We labor hard in the vineyard. When everybody is home sleeping, enjoying their vacation, enjoying their holidays off, enjoying Christmas with their loved ones, we are at work, hard at work.
FEMU have some concerns, but we operate differently. And I believe as laborers, we need to stop fighting so much and unite for the common good of all people and with the government to get our goals accomplished.
Whether you're private sector or public sector, whether you're wearing a red shirt or a yellow shirt or a green shirt, we are all Bahamians.
Deputy Leader of the Progressive Liberal Party, Chester Cooper, also in attendance.
I recognize that you have your share of challenges. I recognize that there is unemployment across the country and it's increasing. And I recognize in Grand Bahama, you have your share of challenges as well.
Minister of State for Grand Bahama also taking to the podium, and he says despite all political differences, one thing is certain. He says that's the fact that workers in this country are valued.
I did this the first time that I spoke as Minister of State in Grand Bahama at a Labor Day. And I said that we have an open door policy when it comes to unions in Grand Bahama. And I am continuing to stand by that if there are concerns, and I know there are many concerns, but one thing I assure you is that we will always listen to the unions and we will always sit and negotiate and talk and act in a fair manner.
Now, the minister also leaving all those in attendance with this thought. He says more can be done if the government and the union are united rather than divided. Shashina Rolf-Arkeson, ZNS Network News.
Now, the Minister of State for Grand Bahama also stating that he met with union leaders earlier this week and shared how he addressed their list of concerns.
And I took those concerns seriously. I raised them at our cabinet meeting, and I raised them with the relevant ministers and those that were under my portfolio. We took them seriously. Not only did we take them seriously, but we took the time to point by point to respond to each of their concerns.
He admits that they were not able to resolve all of those challenges and denotes why.
Concerns have gone on for years through a number of different governments. So some of them I recognize we were not going to resolve in one day. But some concerns we were able to respond to, and some concerns we were able to address. So I want to thank the unions for presenting their points and their concerns, because this is what unions are supposed to do.
The president of the Trade Union Congress says as Labor Day approaches, he has some concerns as it relates to the employee-employer relations. Italia Hall picks up the story.
That is to be sensible and recognize that people have rights.
President of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas Trade Union Congress, Obie Ferguson, says he is not pleased with the state of labor in the country. He says to date, there are a lot of issues between unions and corporate companies. Ferguson says often there is a lack of respect for employees by employers.
People have rights. The unions have rights. The employers have rights as well. But it just can't be the employer believing that they can disregard industrial agreements. They can terminate workers at will, and pay them this, what I call minimum wage. But, I got a problem with minimum wage. I tend to fight for living wage. Living wage is something a little different from minimum wage. So, yes, it's rough because most of the unions are having problems.
Ferguson says many times employers fail to show up to the labor board to discuss issues as well. He adds that in order for the labor movement to be as strong as it once was, education is key.
We are not informed as we ought to be. We don't seem to know our rights, and consequently the workers sometimes suffer because the leaders are not really up to date in terms of dealing with these complex issues coming now by these multinational corporations.
The labor leader says it is important for persons to be a part of the various activities to honor the history of the movement.
All of the major statutory accomplishment for working people came as a result of labor. So for that reason, we should all go out and celebrate. And that is not to suggest that we don't have problems, but we have to recognize the past and honor it and get it into our system. See, 4 ladies passed. 4 ladies died during the last Labor Day. That's a very solemn moment for us. So, and we can't let their death just go in vain. They were there participating, acknowledging the sanctity of labor, because labor is very important.
Italia Hall, ZNS Network News. The ways remains open with water, Wi-Fi,
the island
and
of
limited
Grand Bahama is often plagued with flooded communities during the time of storm, and residents are usually urged to evacuate as a precautionary measure. Island Administrator for Grand Bahama, Don Carney, says that they are partnering with the Grand Bahama Port Authority to utilize a new technology to determine what areas are most at risk.
We were able to go through the entire GIS and see, from satellite exactly the areas of greatest concern, anywhere from, say, up to 7 feet to 10 feet to 12 feet to 15 feet. So we could tell you, for example, that your building where ZNS is at 12 feet will probably be well underwater. But it's one of the most elevated and most protected buildings in the city of Freeport area. So we know that. We know the ridge is the most logical area along the southern coast, as well as where our warehouse is in Hawksville. The challenge is, in most instances, flooding basically is influenced a lot by tidal surge, as well as by the rain that comes with the storms.
Cornish says that this technology will provide detailed information on flood zones and will help to determine which areas are most at risk and will need to be evacuated. He notes that when it comes to the Western District, they were a bit surprised.
Because the West actually has better elevation than most of Freeport, especially in the 8 Mile Rock area, immediately near where the gymnasium is and the Hannah Hill area as well. And so we're confident that that area, going up to Seagrape, actually is going to be fairly okay in certain spots. But going further west, we know there are concerns about Bootle Bay and West End, etc. And so I asked them to really track it and kind of give us some data that brings us closer to reality in terms of how it's going to affect particular locations where we have designated shelters. And the reason why that's important for us is that in those areas, we can then encourage people to evacuate.
In other news, family members of the couple who perished in that house fire on Wednesday have been identified as Ben and Judy Rose, 2 well-known residents of Grand Bahama. Ben, a popular artist, is credited for discovering the caves at the Lucayan National Park, which has since been named in his honor. His wife, Judy, on the other hand, is being remembered as an excellent chef who also produced spices for sale. Now, reports say the couple's home in Emeralds Bay went up in flames around 3 o'clock Wednesday morning, and when firefighters got there, it was completely engulfed. Firefighters were able to extinguish the blaze and later found the remains of the elderly couple at different locations in the burnt-out shell of the house. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. And as we go to break, congratulations to last night's winner of the Skybox ticket to the 4th Annual Grand's Bahama Homecoming Concert, Brittany McKenzie. And we invite all of our winners to visit our office on the 3rd floor of the Harold de Gregory building to collect their tickets. Stay with us, there's more news right after this break.